just different.
Yeah, you already know what it is. Pure money, baby. I keep a couple in the bag, homie, I ain't gotta brag. Even when the hater try to doubt me, I just got another contract. Watch the dollars follow back. Let me tell you one thing about me. Said I like my money pure. I like my money pure. Okay, I like my money pure. I said I like my money pure. Oh no, I like my money pure. The bag is secure. Yeah, I like my money pure. I like my money pure. I like my money pure. Come and hang with the gang. Get some free game added to your mainframe. Gotta keep your mind sharp, we gotta maintain. And it's even better when the squad on the same thing. Steady swishing on the competition. We ain't tripping about the opposition. We on a mission and we got a vision. People in need, we believe we got it like I give a couple in the bag, homie, I ain't gotta brag. Even when the hater try to doubt me, I just got another contract. Watch the dollars follow back. Let me tell you one thing about me. Said I like my money pure. I like my money pure. Okay, I like my money pure. Said I like my money pure. Oh no, I like my money pure. The bag is secure. Yeah, I like my money pure. I like my money pure. I like my money. Been slept on, money never stepped on. We increasing positivity until the stress gone. Satan tried to hold the squad back, but we kept on. We ain't making this up, no rev long. I ain't trying to make it blessed, but this a highlight. We send the high vibes, homie, this a high life. We rising far above the game.
Hey, what's happening out here, good people? I guess that wasn't the right one to put down. Put that one down. What's happening with you guys out there? I hope that, again, everybody's having a great start to their year here. Today, we're going to be talking about the numbers, guys. It's a lot of things that I've been noticing out here in these streets that have been confusing you guys. And numbers is one of the key things that I've been noticing. And what I mean by that is you probably heard of something saying numbers don't lie. Well, I'm here to tell you guys today numbers do lie. They do, but they don't lie. We're going to talk about that today. So again, you guys don't get taken advantage of when it comes to getting scammed out here in these streets. And a lot of scammers use numbers to strike your emotions and make you forget logic. So hopefully after today's lesson, you can bring that logic back in and stop allowing emotions to make you do decisions here. So tune in, make sure that you guys are hitting that like button, hit that share button, and hit that subscribe button so we can keep this follower count going up. You guys have been doing such an amazing job, man. I got to give you guys kudos. The channel keeps growing, not because of me, but because of you guys. So I do thank you guys for continuing to do that there. Don't forget, we are live Tuesday through Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. I wasn't really going to go live this week, but I decided at the last minute I'm going to go ahead and just suck it up and get it done. So I don't have the full lineup for what we're going to talk about tomorrow or Thursday because I literally just decided to go ahead and go about this like right now. Also, don't forget to take advantage of utilizing this to be a time to network. Always put where you're from down there in the chat. You never know who's watching, who's listening, who's going to be watching on replay. They could connect with you. My guy Gavin is always here bright and early. I appreciate you there, Gavin. What's happening with you out there in Denver, Colorado? Y'all got snow out there in Denver yet? Oh, it gets crazy out there. C. Nash up in Baltimore, Maryland. It was a pleasure to meet you on the 30-day challenge there. Nadir, what's happening out there in the DMV? My guy Larry out in Hampton, what's going on with you? Also, don't forget, y'all know too, make sure you put in that chat, I am a millionaire. Like, hey, if you believe that you're going to be a millionaire, go ahead and drop it in there. You know, this is your belief, not mine. But as I always state, you ain't going to get $1 million if you don't believe that you can get there. So wherever you're listening in from, go ahead and drop that I am a millionaire in the chat here. We got somebody from Facebook. It doesn't show me the name, but hello from Arizona. What's happening with you? Over in Instagram land, we got someone. Oh, we got Andy over there from Houston, my second home. We got Camish. I'm trying to read the name. Thomas out there in Miami in the 305. What's going on with you there? Big Face Tuck is in the building. What's happening with you? What's going on? Demita out in North Carolina. How are you? We got Young Fluid Kinlan Consultants in the building. What's happening with you? Just got a little bit of snow out there in Denver. You know what I'm saying? We just got all this rain up here, but I'd take the rain over the snow any day. Louis out, and that is a new one. I have never heard of Lubbock, Lubbock, Texas. I wonder if I'm saying that correctly, Lubbock. That's a good one. I've never seen that part of Texas before, but appreciate you for being here. We got Buzz Spoke, another millionaire in the building. What's going on with you? So I appreciate you guys for being here. Don't forget, make sure you keep hitting that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button, invite 3 other entrepreneurs, business owners to our live today. Lubac, Texas. I said Lubbock. Lubac. All right. I appreciate all of you guys for being here. Make sure that you guys are inviting those other business owners and entrepreneurs to this live stream, because today we're going to be talking about the numbers, man. The numbers. They've been driving me crazy. I'm pretty sure that you guys have seen crazy numbers. $50 million over here. People telling you just throw 19% on top of stuff over here. And, you know, guys, here at the Dollars to Cents podcast, the whole purpose of this is to make sure that, hey, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So if it makes you hundreds of dollars off of a dollar, chances are it's not going to quite make sense. Because if you put $1 down and get 100 in return, the percentage of your ROI, return on investment, is insane. Okay? So if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. If you want to make $1 million, then we just need to go bigger, and we could get there. But you don't turn $50 into $1 million. It just doesn't happen like that unless it's invested in you. So like you read a book or something, or you take a course or something for $50, and then you can excel and take off. But no, you're not going to invest $50 into a piece of real estate. You buying a program or something just because you bought it for $50 don't mean that it's going to give you, heck, let alone $1 million ROI. It ain't going to give you $5,000 of ROI because the dollars don't make sense. So today, I'm hoping that I can break down some numbers, okay? If you guys have questions about anything, make sure that you always put a Q in the chat followed by the question, and I'll try to answer them the best that I know. I also want to make a disclaimer. Anytime I start talking numbers and financial, I'm always going to advise you guys to talk to a professional, right? I'm just here to spark your mind and your attention so your eyes can start to notice things differently. Your ears can hear a little bit differently, and the emotions don't arise when people start throwing numbers out there at you. And again, start making you forget logic and start leading with emotions. So that's my goal. But like I stated, take further research as we go through this. And most importantly, seek a professional when you're really ready to move forward here. But my first thing that I want to ask you guys in the chat, how many of you guys know all of your expenses to your business? And I mean, to the T. Put a me in the chat if you do know all of your expenses. Put a no in the chat if you don't know all of your expenses. That's where I've got to start at. And, you know, I think this frustrates everybody because in order to know all of your expenses, that means that you're going to have to sit down and budget. And you're going to have to write everything out in the detail, the money that comes in and the money that goes out. And I'm telling you, I want to say like 97% of the businesses that I work with don't have it together. You know, they lie, say that they do. But I like, yo, what's the utility cost? And then, oh, I forgot that. Well, you can't forget that. Like that's not an option. We have to know what all of our costs are, as well as when I do this. The number one thing that I see happening is commingling of funds, right? You cannot commingle funds and tell me that you know all of your expenses. It's not possible. And that's the reason why we separate stuff so we can track these things. So, all right, we got a good taste. I like the people who are being honest in there. Hopefully, you guys are saying me, y'all really got y'all stuff together. All right, but let's dive into some numbers that I want you guys to pay attention to. Once again, if you got any questions as we move forward, feel free to put the Q in the chat, and I will get to them as we go through this information here today. Also, I will be out of here by 8 o'clock. I got to be out of here by 8 o'clock because I got my live challenge call at 8 p.m. So I got to cut it off here. The first numbers that I need you guys to pay attention to, definitely when we're talking government contracting, you need to have a UEI number and a cage code. How many of you guys have both of those numbers already? Put a 1 in the chat if you have both of those numbers. Put a 2 in the chat if you do not have those numbers. The UEI and the cage code, this needs to be gotten in the sam.gov database system. If you have not gotten these numbers, you need to go over to sam.gov and you need to register. This will allow you to do federal government contracting, okay? As well as if you need a grant from the federal government, you're going to need to do this as well. But we have to make sure that our business is registered on sam.gov. If it is not, and you do not have a UEI number and a cage code, you can't proceed forward with federal government contracting, okay? So that's the very first place that we want to start if you guys want to keep pursuing this thing called government contracting. Go to sam.gov, get yourself registered, follow the steps. It will be tedious. It's probably going to ask you some questions that may make you a little bit nervous, but guys, trust me, you can read it and answer those questions. And here's another thing. If you get to sam.gov and you go through those questions and you cannot read it, comprehend it, and answer to it properly, you should not be doing government contracting. I'm just going to be straight up honest. If that presents a problem, you got way more problems that's about to come. So if you feel as if though you want to expedite and pay for this stuff, like you better have a lot of money that's flowing in and whatnot that, yeah, okay, it makes sense for me to pay somebody to do this. But if you ain't cash flowing already at a very nice level and you don't want to take the time out here to read through this information to answer, don't do government contracting. Or go find somebody else to learn government contracting from, because you're probably going to get frustrated with me. The next number that I need you guys to remember is your NAICS code. How many of you guys know your NAICS code? If you know your NAICS code, I want you to drop it in the chat. That's how we're going to tell if you really know your NAICS code or not. Whatever your NAICS code is, I want you to go ahead and put that in the chat. It is a 541519, 6-digit code. This is a very important code. This tells the government what it is that you do. This is going to allow you to research opportunities that have already been awarded if you know what your NAICS code is, as well as this kind of sets the size and dollar standard to being a small business under that NAICS code opposed to being a large business under that NAICS code. And most of us are small businesses, so you definitely want to pay attention, though, because you could make a lot of money in government contracting very quickly, and it'll knock you out of being a small business under that NAICS code, which means now you have to compete with the big boys that have that same NAICS code. But I always like to look at it like a grocery store. If you went to the grocery store and you looked up in the ceiling, you see the numbered aisles, right? And each aisle tells you like, okay, this is dry foods, canned goods, whatnot. That's how I consider the NAICS code to be. It's telling me exactly which aisle your product or service is on. And that's where the government is looking to. They don't want to just go through all of these businesses. They want to go to the aisle that your product or service is on and then find the players who can play in that space. So make sure that you guys know what your next code is. Also, don't forget, guys, keep hitting that like button, hit that share button, and most importantly, hit that subscribe button as we keep proceeding forward. Now, the next thing that I want you guys to know, now this stuff I'm just literally putting numbers out there. So hopefully you guys, your mind can start to see things now. What I put right here is sales conversions. Now, a lot of the times when you're entering the online space, the internet space, you believe that you're going to become a millionaire overnight, and that just ain't true. Can it be done? Yes. But how many of you guys know this? When selling things on the internet, a 3% conversion rate of sales is really good. Did you guys know that you should be making anywhere between a 1 to 3% sales rate on things that you sell on the internet? If you already knew that, put a me in the chat. If you didn't, put a no in the chat. And that usually shocks a lot of people because they expect that when they jump out here, they're going to get rich. And the thing is, on the internet, it's really about volume. You know? Can I get 20, 30, 40,000 people to see my stuff because I understand I'm only getting a 1% conversion rate, a 3% conversion rate if I'm really, really good. So this is why people want to get their following up, because you constantly got to put yourself in front of thousands of people each and every day just to get a 1 to 3% conversion rate. This is why people pump content so much. Don't think because they got 2 million followers that, they're converting all of them. I took 1 to 3%. But the goal is to get in front of a lot of people very fast. This is why people get on podcasts and things of that nature of people who have already built up their audience, because they understand 1 to 3% of them are going to close on the internet. Okay. So I see we got a lot of no's that you guys didn't know that. Now, I tell you guys that because when you do enter the internet space, I don't want you to get discouraged. As well as I want you to stop listening to these people thinking that you're going to get rich overnight, knowing that it's only a 1 to 3% conversion rate. Now, if I get in front of 300,000 people, then I'm going to make some good money. But most of us are starting out with just our social media accounts, and we only maybe got a couple hundred followers. And you ain't never tried to sell nothing to them yet. But once you can start hitting this 1 to 3%, it's really about just pumping numbers. Can I do more podcasts? Can I get on more stages? Can I get on other people's YouTube channels? Whatever I need to do to get in front of a massive amount of people, because I understand these conversions. All right. The next one, 30%. What did I put 30% for? 30% was R. I got to remember what that is. I'll go to the 50%. I forgot what I put 30% R for. 50% is for face-to-face. All right. If you guys want to convert at a very high percentage rate, you need to get in front of people. When I can shake your hand, and you can look at me in my eyes and you can ask me questions, I can close at a 50% rate. So this is why you see people trying to get on conferences all the time. This is why speakers love going to conferences. They're looking at 40 to 50% conversion rates. That's way better than 1 to 3% on the internet. So you'll see a lot of this happening in that Atlanta area, right? They're doing a lot of conferences together because they clean up on conferences. Now, I'm not saying this to knock anybody's conference. I'm telling you how the stuff operates. And if you want to get 40 to 50% conversions, you probably should start showing up to conferences because you're going to get burnt out trying to rely on the internet that's only getting you 1 to 3%. So we got to do things to generate us more revenue. Live, in-person, face-to-face can close at 50%. If you're doing 30%, that's great too. But I'm telling you, anywhere between that 30 to 50% range is where we're closing at face-to-face. 20%, that's your webinar. How many of you guys have ever been on a webinar? Put a me in the chat if you've ever tuned in to a webinar. Now, again, this is a great conversion. Okay. I can do a webinar. A webinar can close me out at 20%. That's where I want to be. The other number that I didn't put on there is your email. You can close out at 3% on your email list. So again, reminder, you have your webinar, which should build your list for the 20% that close out at the end of the webinar. You still got 80% of your list. You should be emailing them to change that to 3%. Okay. Constantly emailing your list. This is where things like SB Money Flow comes into play. It's called creating a campaign, because we know everybody's not going to close out. So we got to keep emailing them every day. Just like H&M keep emailing you, Rihanna, Nike, whatever you're addicted to that's selling you your current drugs. And I don't mean like real drugs, but whether you like to shop for clothes, bags, travel, whatever that is, you're subscribed to it and they're constantly emailing you and you didn't unsubscribe to it yet. Yeah, that's where you want to be with your perfect customer. You want it to be where you're constantly emailing them. Okay. And they don't mind. They're waiting for something spicy to drop. And that's how you convert. Right. And I'm still trying to do 30% R. Maybe I can't remember what I put the R for. I can't even lie. Okay. I told you I came up with all of this stuff. Literally, I said I was going to go live like 2 hours ago. So I was throwing this stuff off the top of my mind. Now, I'm telling you these sales conversion things. So as you get into people's programs and things of that nature, as you're trying to learn and excel and grow, you got to remember the percentages. Okay. If you're looking to do something to sell stuff on the internet, like that's a 3% conversion. You can't expect to get a 90% conversion rate when it's just not possible. I'm saying nobody's doing it. So your expectations aren't real. Now I want you to go set real expectations for yourself and say, okay, well, 3%. Well, if I want to make $1 million at 3% and my offer is $5,000, well, now you need to understand the 3% conversion. How many people do I need to get in front of in order to make my $1 million at 3%? And now you'll stop playing around on getting like people ask me all the time to be on their podcast or to be on their show or do something like that. And I'm like, well, look, I appreciate you just getting started or whatnot, but I'm not the just getting started guy. You should have caught me like 6 years ago when I was just getting started. I probably would have got on there. But I don't want to do things when you only got 10 followers. You got to put in some more work like I did 6 years ago, and now people want to get on my platform and you only got 2 followers. And I realize the power of what I've created. And I'm not just going to share all the work that I've done because somebody woke up and decided that they realized that they could hack my infrastructure and 10x their profits. That don't happen out here. All right. The next number that I got right here, we're back in the government contracting on this one. It's called indirect costs. How many of you guys know exactly what indirect costs are? Now, I'm going to dive into some of these government contracting numbers because I keep seeing everybody talk about $50 million and this is just baffling me. Like, I don't know how everybody's making $50 million. I don't know how everybody's teaching everybody to make $50 million. Maybe it's something I'm missing here. But I'm pretty sure if I sat down with them and we started breaking down numbers, I would realize ain't nobody making $50 million. Hey, lying. Because I need to do this. I need to know what your indirect costs are. Your indirect costs. This is all of the stuff. I like to simplify things. Okay. There's something called direct cost and there's something called indirect cost. So right now we're on indirect costs. Indirect costs are any cost of your business that don't associate directly with a project or a contract, right? So for instance, your accountant, it does not associate directly with a project. It's all of them. You know what I'm saying? It's your life and the whole nine. You can't associate it to one thing. That's indirect. Your lawyer, it's an indirect cost. The printers, your cell phone, your computers, paper, gas, travel. Like your salary, fringe benefits, like all of this stuff is part of your indirect costs. We call it overhead and G&A. G&A we'll get into a little bit later here. But these are all of your indirect costs. They have to be separated in your books too, right? Because if you go to get audited, you're winning government contracts, you go to get audited, if you can't show that your direct costs are separated from your indirect costs, well, now you're commingling funds. Yes, you can commingle funds inside of your own bank account. Yeah, just because you separated the business bank account and the personal bank account, you can still commingle funds inside of the business bank account when you don't break this stuff down like this. This is how you grow and scale, guys. If you can't break it down, like this is why you don't get loan money. This is why people won't invest with you, because the numbers don't make sense. I told you numbers can lie. Okay. But when I look at stuff like this and you don't have it broke down, yeah, it's lying, but it's telling the truth too. It's telling me you're not organized and you really don't know how much money you're making. So we got to know exactly what all of our indirect costs. This is very important. Utilities. I mean, I can just go down a list of all the things that are indirect costs. Now, to make it a little more simpler, maybe if we talk about direct costs, it'll bring a little better understanding of all the things that are indirect. Direct costs is your labor and your materials. So labor. This project called for 10 full-time employees. All 10 of those employees are directly associated to this project, and they don't work on nothing else in my company. Every single hour that they operate is directly being charged to that project and nothing else. See, it's direct. If it wasn't service-based and was material, the direct cost, what material is specifically for that project? You can't order paper for yourself and for that project, right? Like now you're commingling and you're like, that's illegal. Okay. So you need to make sure that you understand the difference between direct costs and indirect costs. Do you guys understand the difference between that? Put a fire emoji in the chat if you understand the difference between direct cost and indirect costs. Carla had a question. Can we use SB Money Flow to have multiple phone numbers for multiple businesses? Yes, you can. Yes, the answer is yes. I would just make sure you understand the whole flow because, again, you're going to get billed for numbers. So just make sure you understand that, as well as, you know, when we start dealing with tech and stuff, and I'm a victim of this, like these little text blasts and stuff like that, they can start adding up. Especially if you got stuff going from all over the place and you're right. You don't, because these would be indirect costs. So you need to make sure you have it all categorized and know everything that's charging so you can keep track of that stuff. And again, I'm guilty of the same stuff that I'm talking about because I be signing up for stuff. And my accountant just be killing me for the stuff I be signing up for. All right. So we got our direct costs. We got our indirect costs down. Now, we about to get into the sauce right here, man. We about to get into the sauce. I want you guys to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button, because the next thing that we about to go over, honestly, is the bread, the gravy to government contracting. This is the secret that I usually charge hundreds of thousands of dollars for, but I see, not too many people are paying attention to me yet. So I'm going to give it away to you guys for free. Now, I'm not going to tell y'all my number because I'm telling you this is the key to government contracting. You know what I'm saying? I charge a lot of money to do this for people, and I'm about to just give it to y'all, okay? How many of you guys have ever heard about this thing called a rap rate? If you've heard about a rap rate, put a fire emoji down there in the chat. Now, this is the sauce right here, and I see, dang, we still had people that dropped off, and I'm about to give y'all the bread and butter to government contracting. Your rap rate, here it is, okay? What I do with a rap rate, guys, is I'm able to, and this is mainly for service-based contracts. Okay. Any service-based contract that you give me, of course, I'm in my field. I'm in my tech field. If I convert it over into another industry, I would have to do the same type of thing, but I would come up with my number and then we would just keep moving forward like this. So essentially it is the multiplier. So I was about to say, so mine is, but I ain't telling you what mine is. Most businesses could have somewhere between like a 1.65 to maybe like a 2.3, which is really, really high. But in that 2.0 rap rate, the multiplier. And what ends up happening is you struggle to come up with your rap rate because you don't know all of your costs, your direct costs and your indirect costs. If you don't know this stuff, it's going to make it extremely hard. But in order to do it, you simply have your total cost, which is going to be your indirect cost and your direct cost, plus your profit, whatever profit margin that you want to go for. So if you want 10% profit on top of your stuff, 15% profit margin, whatever you would like to choose, you should do your market research, guys. You can't just pull numbers out the back of your behind. You need to know what the market justifies to say what your profit margin should be. And then you divide it by the labor hours. It's that simple. And then when you do this, guys, you come out to what your rap rate is. And every time you are presented a contract or an opportunity, you just multiply it. So like, dang, I was about to say it again. Let's say that your number is like 1 point, or let's make it simple and say 2.0. So you would just put the 2.0 and then you would multiply it by this formula right here. So you would already have the 2.0 equals. Then let's say, so let me just give the example so you guys can see it better. All right. Now, I gave you guys an example. If an employee's direct labor cost, so I want you guys to remember, I told you this is really for service-based contracts, which everybody should get to. Product-based contracts, man, that's for people who chasing money. You ain't gonna survive if you keep just doing product-based contracts all day. Contrary to what they keep telling you on the internet. I've been in this game for 11 years. There's one reason that I stayed in this game for 11 years. I got consistent money that flows to me, millions of dollars that flows to me through service-based contracts. I had fun with the product side, but again, every time you sell products, you got to sell more products. My new product is people. So let's take an employee. If it costs me $30 per hour, that's what the employee wants to charge me. We sit in the room and negotiate. It's $30 per hour for you to do said task. Okay? So I take $30 per hour and I combine it with all of my indirect costs. See, if you don't know that indirect costs, things start to change all of a sudden. It is key that you know the overhead and G&A, fringe benefits or whatever you want to offer. This is why it's vital, because if you find out a company's rap rate number, I mean, you essentially know all their sauce, right? So anyways, for an extra $45 an hour, this is why I laugh at people, guys, because the consumer thinks that the business is taking advantage of them. And I used to think this too. I always give the story when I first got started in government contracting. I seen how much they were billing the government versus what they were paying for me. That's because I didn't understand indirect costs. I didn't know anything about that stuff. So all I seen was the dollars. But the reason that your employee is giving you $30 an hour, but they're billing the customer $85 an hour is because they got to keep their doors open. They got to keep the lawyer, the accountant, the printers, your vacation, the payroll tax. They got to keep your Christmas holiday party. They got to keep that coffee in the coffee room for you. Like, this is how they keep all of that stuff operating. So if you don't know the costs, again, you make it harder for yourself. So now I say, okay, the employee wants $30 an hour. In order for me to keep my doors open, it's going to cost $45 an hour. I want a 10% profit margin on top of that. So I take the $45 plus the $30 and then I multiply the 10%. So let's do some math right here. I'm going to do it live with you guys, okay? So we take, somebody put it in the chat when you get the answer. Okay, so we take 30 plus 45, and then we multiply that, 30 plus 45, then we're going to multiply that by 10%. We get 34.5, and then we would need to, divide it by the number of hours. So what are we doing? 40 hours per week, right? So 40, all right. So you could come out with, see, that would be too low. You know, I don't like what the rap rate number for that would be. It would be too low. We're not even at 1%. So I was just giving that as an example, but if I was really doing the math, I would have to raise this. we couldn't survive at that rap rate number. Okay, so again, it's just your total cost plus your desired profit. Your total cost plus your desired profit divided by your direct labor hours. So again, it would be 85 plus 10% divided by 40. And then you would come out to, what's that? 82.5, my bad. 82.5. So now what you would need to bill the customer is $82.50 per hour, right? If you don't bill the customer $82.50 per hour, you will not survive. The reason why is because that $82.50 per hour is what keeps your doors open with your indirect costs. As well as it has baked in there the $30 per hour that your employee wants. As well as it has tied in there your 10% profit margin. So when you get really, really nice at calculating this stuff over and over again, and I honestly have software that does this too, your QuickBooks, which I advise everybody to do, you could just start dumping estimates. So like when you get an estimate and you're reading proposals and the team comes in with the total cost and you know all of the billable hours that it's going to be, you can quickly throw your wrap rate number in there and understand if you can operate this project or not. As well as that's going to tell you exactly how much you need to charge the government. This is what I tell you guys all the time. I cannot bid, okay? I cannot bid for your opportunities without reading through this stuff. It just doesn't, it will never work. All right. 66. I don't know what you got 66 on. This is why it's hard to do this. It's hard for me to break down this math and show you guys putting it in words. If that makes sense. Because I really need to draw. I need to draw to make this thing make sense. All right. But don't worry, guys. We got more for you guys. We ain't done. One of the things that are in your indirect costs that mess you up is the G&A. Okay. This is your general and administrative expenses. Now, again, it's hard for me to tell you what you should classify or put as your G&A in your business. Like this, this becomes everybody's sauce, man. This is the structure of your business. I always tell you guys, we've learned to build a business to make money when it's actually the opposite. You're just supposed to use money to build the business. So essentially, if I can start to understand these numbers, I just need to pump the money into it and everything else will operate because I'm funding the project and I already know I'm getting the money back and everything is covered and I know exactly what my profit margins are. Now, I also need to make a quick statement, man. It is illegal to price gouge the government. Well, it's illegal to price gouge anybody, honestly. But you cannot price gouge the government, man. And the reason why is because you're not price gouging the government, you're price gouging us. That money is the citizens' money. Each and every one of you guys that the government spends. So I say that because I've been seeing a whole lot of people like, yeah, we got a contract and we 300% profit. 300% profit. Look, if you got away with it, cool, but I just don't think that that's smart to do. As well as, even if they don't come down on you, like, they're not stupid. So, my handwriting bad, Larry. The government ain't stupid. So, you can make a bad relationship over one deal that you try to just, get crazy numbers on. So I just wanted to make that statement there. Like, my people, please don't try to price gouge the government. Like, that's just it's not a smart thing to do. All right. Now, as we're talking about the G&A and you're putting all of those numbers together, what you should really do is calculate all of your totals for the year. This is like why I like paying for subscriptions and stuff. Just pay it out for the year because I can calculate better opposed to paying month-to-month subscriptions. So whatever those costs are, your lawyer, if you're paying them month-to-month and whatnot, like, these are costs that, you can calculate what is going to cost you for the entire year for your indirect costs. Because when I said total your indirect costs, right? I said $30 an hour for the employee, and then I said $45 an hour for your indirect costs. Well, if your indirect costs come to $500,000, right? You can't say that you're putting all $500,000 on one contract. That's why it's called indirect. Your fees don't have anything directly associated with this one project. But what should happen is that it gets spread throughout all of your projects. This is why I tell you guys to build a pipeline of opportunities. Because if you have your pipeline of opportunities, you know how to spread your indirect costs to every one of your contracts. To every time you win a contract, it pays for your expenses. So when people be telling you just throw stuff over the fence, like I seen one fool talking about bid a contract per day. Guys, that is the dumbest method of government contracting that I've ever heard in my life. Please do not just bid on a contract every day. That is insane. Let's think about best case scenario. What if you bid a contract every single day and you win every contract for 30 days? Now you on the hook. Could be potential $2 million that you on the hook for, and you ain't got $2,000 to your name. You have just tarnished your name. You have just ruined your credibility because you listened to a broken strategy. Please do not just bid on opportunities every day. That don't make sense. Now, if we build our pipeline of opportunities up before we go to that strategy of bidding towards opportunities every day, now we have all of our opportunities laid out. We know that we're going after these 13 opportunities this year. I can associate my direct costs throughout all of those opportunities. And that's it. It's that simple when it comes to doing that. Now, I know probably still you're saying, well, how would I total that up? As I told you, you're going to go about, it's kind of a formula here. How can I explain this? So once you get all of your total costs for your overhead, right? So did I do an example? Maybe I did. Oh, I did. Okay. Yeah, I did. All right. So once you get all of your total costs for your G&A, your fringe benefits, and all of that good stuff, that all of your indirect costs, then you're going to divide it by your total labor costs. Okay. So if all of the costs, so remember all those projects that I told you to have out there? Let's say you get $500,000 for indirect costs, your lawyer, your accountants, the mortgage or rent or whatever, equipment, all that stuff, your pay, any benefits that you got for employees, healthcare, dental, whatever. It totals $500,000. All right. Now you're saying, well, how do I go about associating this stuff over so I can make it work? So you take that $500,000 and you put it over top of all of the cost of labor. So let's say your labor is going to cost you $1 million, right? So if your labor is going to cost you $1 million and you're throwing $500,000 of indirect costs, well, there you go. You got every dollar that you get, you need to allocate 50 cents of it, okay, towards your overhead. It's just that simple. Every dollar that comes in, 50 cents of that dollar needs to go towards paying all of your overhead. So now we can go back and do our calculations. If we already know that every dollar that has to happen needs 50 cents. So if we're saying $30 an hour, okay, per employee that's coming in, well, I need to put 50 cents on top of that, right? So now we're saying 60, right? 30, half, yeah. So now we're saying $60 an hour of what I need to do. So that's 60 put on top of the 30. So we're $90 an hour of what I need to charge in order for me to be able to break even. It's just that simple. And that's what you're going to associate around all of your contracts. And now every time you win a contract, you already know it's profitable. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, if I can't make this percentage or this number work, then I just can't do the contract. I move on to the next opportunity. But I must be able to see this stuff in order to justify whether I want to do this contract or not. It all starts with your expenses. You have to total up your expenses, guys. If you do not total up the cost for you doing business, it makes it extremely difficult to come up with numbers to make sure you stay in business. This is why majority businesses do not stay open after 3 years. It's because they didn't do any calculations. All of this stuff isn't a guess. This is why I tell you guys, getting rich ain't lucky. Nobody luckily becomes rich. No, they actually did exactly what the plan said it was supposed to happen. The plan told you how many contracts based off your expenses and your profit margin, how many contracts you needed to do to be a millionaire. The plan told you that. But most people ain't got the plan. Most people try to avoid the plan. Now, as I stated before, guys, it's very important because even myself, I still get mixed up with numbers. I loved math. I graduated as a computer engineer. I thought math was my favorite subject until I got to counting math for business. Oh, no. That math is different. Because you got to know laws, codes, and things that you don't know about. Sales tax, benefits. It's just stuff that you, unless you went to school for that, you probably don't know it. Now, if you ain't made no money yet, you don't need to worry about this stuff. That don't mean that you don't need to know it, because I wouldn't tell you something that you don't need to know. We need to learn about it. We need to educate ourselves about it, but I don't need you to stress yourself out about the stuff that I'm talking about if you ain't making no money yet. Now, if you're one of those real good people that can sit down and come up with a plan and execute before you ever make a dollar, that's the best place to be in. But if you're like myself, that I can't see a plan until I actually start making motion, I had to go make money first before I believed that I could do anything else. This is why I advise you guys, go make money. You know, what do you need an accountant for, and you only making $500, $5,000, $20,000? You don't need no accountant yet. The accountant gonna take all $20,000 of your dollars. You know what I'm saying? You don't need that accountant yet. You don't need that lawyer yet. And I know all the time I got lawyers and accountants that cringe when I say this, and I cringe right back at them. Like, how do you want the people to pay you $10,000 for your accounting services and they don't know how to make $10,000? You just as bad as everybody else into the community as me. You know ain't nobody coming for people that ain't making no money. You know your law services is not needed right now and ain't nobody got no money. You know don't nobody need to be creating no trust and all of this stuff. And trust me, they ain't learned how to consistently cash flow $20,000 yet. Stop forcing the money out of all of the people for things that ain't needed yet. You are a lawyer. You are an accountant. Go get people who make a lot of money already. It's tons of them out here. But stop picking on the person that's just getting started. The person that's getting started, I need you to focus on making money. Once you start making money, if you can make money and learn these numbers that I just showed you at the same time that you're making money, great. But chances are you don't even know your expenses right now because you're just trying stuff. You still need to document that. You still need to budget a trying stuff budget. I'm telling you that you don't need to go deep into the technicals because you ain't got the money yet. But if you can do basic budgeting and understand the money coming in and the money going out, and that you categorize every single transaction, that's all you need to worry about right now. Because I know that you can understand what's coming in and what's going out so you don't go in a hole. These people that keep telling you guys to take all these loans, that is the craziest thing to me. How can you go take a $150,000 loan out and you haven't figured out how to make $150,000? You do know them people gonna want their money back. Or let me guess, you're going to try to run some credit card play and blame the system that, you know what I'm saying, interest rates and whatnot, they treating you unfair and you shouldn't have to pay this stuff back. And you're probably going to run across somebody. Usually what happens is a sucker listened to another sucker who used your money so they could live their lifestyle and rich. Had you go get the $150,000 loan out, gave you emotions with numbers and told you that you could do this. You got the $150,000 loan. You gave them $25,000 for their program. You now out $25,000. I told you 3% sales online. All of a sudden, you don't know how to make $25,000. Now you're in the pickle because the people that loaned you the money want their money back. So you're on the internet trying to find a way out through emotions and not logic. And then you scroll across another fool who tell you you ain't got to pay nobody back their credit. You ain't got to pay nobody back. Just follow my steps. You got something with the and JT pocket watch did this. That's what really made me start. Man, listen, you start in your emotional state of losing money, not having money. You're trying to find a quick way out. And it's always going to be a fool available for another fool at all times of the day. So you go on the internet looking for a fool, say, hey, you don't have to pay nobody their money back that you signed off on and you said that you was going to pay them their money back, but you ain't got to do it. We got stuff in our social security number or whatnot, whatever stuff that they be telling you. But then again, they ask for your money. See how it don't make sense now? How you need my actual physical money for things that you telling me I shouldn't have to pay for. Well, they shouldn't have to pay you either. See, I understand money. I'm never going to try to play you and act like money ain't important. Everybody's out here trying to generate it. That's why I charge for the things that I do, because I need to generate money too. Whether it's B2C, B2B, or B2G, we all need to generate money. But You cannot do things, right? You cannot chase $1 million+ getting loans and stuff of this nature, and you've never processed this stuff before. It's okay to take a step back. Set a goal at making $5,000 consistently for the next 3 months. And once you can achieve that, then take another step up. Eventually, you will get to where you need to be. But do not allow your emotions to make you do stupid decisions. And numbers create emotions. Every single time in my life that something wrong has happened is because I allowed the numbers to create the emotion instead of the numbers creating the logic. See, I told you numbers can lie. They lie when they fall over to the emotion side. They tell the truth when they come over to the logic side. So you need to ask yourself every time you see numbers, is it leading me to emotions or is it leading me to logic? Statistics usually bring you to emotions. I'm just telling you. You start feeling some type of way. When I just ask everybody, when you hear that statistic, who came to survey you? Chances are you could tell me nobody. So who are they to tell you that you're part of that statistic to make you that emotional? And that's what I would advise to you guys. Do not allow the numbers to create the emotion. That's all I have for you guys today. Again, I got more training in my back office for the whole breakdown of, my iPad died too. Somebody asked me my pen and my iPad. My iPad died, Larry. That's why I didn't use it. I forgot to charge it. But I have actually training. If you guys are in the 30-day challenge, go look at the government contract and training in the masterclass section. It's broken down into much more detail. That's where you want to get to again, guys. You want to get to a point to where, I could say that I got a 1.85% rate and you just throw that number in front of everything and you'll know right now whether you can do that project or not. You can move very, very quickly because, again, it's just moving money. That's all you're doing is you're moving money. You're paying the employees for the employees to do their job. You're paying the team and the staff for everybody to do their job. And hopefully, prayerfully, everything pops off to success and then you keep your profit off of it. That's business right there. Moving money to conduct business. When you get that mindset and that starts to shift in for you, I'm telling you, your whole world is going to change. You're going to love paying people. That's what I've noticed a lot of times. A lot of us don't like paying people. We don't like paying people because we see everything as an expense. When instead, if you have your numbers worked out already, I don't mind paying people because I'm charging somebody else for it. I got to keep my doors open, man. You should want to pay people. You should love paying people. This lets you know that you're actually helping out society. You're helping your community. You're supplying jobs just like they wanted you to do. And the only way to do that is you got to move money instead of creating a business to make the money. Working these numbers out and having a plan allows you to move money and move money fast. And when you move money fast, you naturally make more money. All right, I love you all. I got to get out of here. Those of you that are on a 30-day challenge, we're about to get off here and get into the 30-day challenge. If you haven't gotten into it, well, you missed out. Don't worry about it. We got the next 30-day challenge coming up on March the 2nd. We've already locked that into the dates. Be on the lookout for that. Don't get registered for the 30-day challenge now. No, I'm letting you know you're a little bit too late. I'll be making an announcement when we're ready for the March the 2nd 30-day challenge to kick off. I love you all. I'll talk with you guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. See you.